joins us live from the scene and has the latest. Michael?
That's right, James Murray. Right now, as you said, Christine is in fair condition. We're going to step out of the way so you can get a good sense of what this is right here. You look at the explosion that happened here. I talked to some residents, and many of them say they don't know how anyone could have survived this. Christine, this is the home that exploded earlier today. All right, Christine, you're getting one last look at the house here. Again, Mr. Murray is in fair condition over at the hospital. We also do want to note that his dog, Toby, which apparently was under the debris here for about 90 minutes, is going to be just fine. We're live in Washington. I'm Michael Baldwin, WITN News.
Live from Greenville now with more. Michael?
Dave and Christine, firefighters looking to ignite their concerns about space heaters. They're saying if you have one of these, be careful. Chief adds that if you're going to use one of those space heaters, make sure that you follow the manufacturer's recommendation. So with the bus turned over on its side, many of the kids did what they were taught at the beginning of the school year. An emergency happens, you go right out the back. So someone opened up the door and the kids hopped out. In fact, we talked to other people in the neighborhood who said they had heard about Miss Mills' bill. Now, many of them said they didn't get a bill for $1,000, but they said their bills were extremely high as well. Now, according to sheriff deputies, that's when things began to get a little out of control. They say as they were trying to remove property, he began taking things out of his pocket and throwing it at them. It's almost like something out of a video game. He controls the plow with this little joystick right here. The victim says the three men came out of the bushes all with hooded sweatshirts. He said one of the people had some type of surgical mask over his face. He said, "Put your hands up or I'll shoot."
Been on the scene all day. Michael?
Hey, Christine, sheriff deputies have finally opened up the scene. Where we are right now is where the car was actually parked that Clarence Phillips was driving, and apparently he ran out into the woods and where the gun battle began. We're going to talk to a person that was here when this all happened. His name is Isaac Grady. And Isaac, just in your own words, tell us what happened, my friend.
Talk with Davis's son today and joins us live with the story. Michael?
Christine, Tommy Davis was just 20 years old when his father was murdered, and he says he can remember every detail like it was yesterday. He says he's happy the governor stepped in and is trying to stop all the criminals convicted of rape and murder from getting out of prison. He says if the convicts had any decency, they would just stay in prison and do their time.
He was proud of me all the time.
Tommy Davis, like many of the victims' families, never thought he would be doing an interview about his father's killers getting out of prison early. Faye Brown is one of the 20 or so that was scheduled to be released next week, now put on hold by the governor. Davis says he was told Joseph Seaborn, the trigger man seen here with Brown after getting arrested, has been added to that list. If you could say something to them, what would you say?
I would say to them that I want you to complete your sentence in jail until your maker takes care of you.
The insurance man was just 20 years old when his father was murdered. Faye Brown, Joseph Seaborn, and Frankie Squire were all convicted of murdering Trooper Davis after robbing a bank in Jamesville, as seen here in the WeTV documentary about the crime. This intersection over in Williamston is the last place that Trooper Davis would be seen alive. His son tells us his father was responding to a vehicle that had been easing through the red light. Trooper Davis had no idea the three people inside that vehicle had just robbed a bank.
When he got to the car and got up to the back window to approach the driver, the person laying down in the back seat shot him.
The We Network's documentary aired last year. In it, Faye Brown did not take full responsibility for her role.
Indirectly, maybe I bear some responsibility for his death, but not directly. You know, I never meant for anybody to be hurt.
They can't imagine the suffering and pain that they caused our family and our community and everyone that knew my dad. They've got a second chance when the death penalty was struck down and they were sentenced to life. And that's where I think they should serve the rest of their life.
Tommy Davis says the last time he saw his father was when he rode by him as he was on his way to UNC Wilmington, where he was going to school. It would be about 15 minutes later when his father was killed. And while the releases is on hold for now, he says he hopes someone does something to stop these criminals
with them for the hunt for fugitives who skipped out on court dates and are now wanted by the law.
It's 5:30 in the morning and the people of Express Bail Bonding are ready to go and trying to close a case.
The men are suited up in black fatigues and are out to apprehend someone who's on a $70,000 bond, and they say he's been ducking their calls.
He was charged with possession of cocaine within the school zone. And so being that he's ducking me and not answering his phone, we're gonna go get him and put him back and come off his bond.
We're off to Washington. That's where they believe their man has been hiding out, and apprehension can be a dangerous job.
Every situation is scary.
Good everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm Michael Baldwin. A 75-year-old woman out of the East is lucky to be alive after being carjacked by a man who jumped into her vehicle and pointed a gun in her face. She would hatch her own daring escape to get out of his clutches by jumping out of her car.
Okay.
Violet Bartley is cooking things up at her home now, but on Friday she was pretty hot as a black male in his 20s in dark clothes and a do-rag followed her as she left this Chinese food restaurant off Highway 64 in Plymouth.
He said, "Ma'am," and I thought they were going to ask me something. He said, "Ma'am, move over," and I looked and he had a gun, pointed at me.
If you thought Violet was scared and backed down, you'd have another thing coming.
I looked him dead in the eyes when I told him, "What do you think you're doing?"
As she moved over in the car with the gun in her face, she thought of doing something daring.
And I thought, I believe I could take both hands and just grab him by the wrist and turn that gun right to him. But that thought soon left me. I thought that would not be the right thing to do.
Instead, she handed the carjacker the keys and plotted her escape. As soon as he put the car in drive, she opened the passenger door, and the 75-year-old daredevil jumped out of a moving car.
And when that door opened, I said, "Well, you might take my car, but you're not going to take me."
Since the carjacker has her keys, Violet is taking no chances as she gets new locks for her house. She says the carjacking won't stop her from eating at the Chinese food restaurant she was at, but the experience will live on for a lifetime.
When a gun's aimed at you, fingers on the trigger, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen, but you just hope for the best and try to get out of that situation.
Police are still on the hunt for the carjacker. Plymouth police say the 2003 pearl white Cadillac Seville was last seen heading east on Highway 64. Anyone with information is asked to call police. The car has a North Carolina tag of YPY 42. The story you'll only see on WITN. The woman who was raped when she was just 9 years old at the hands of one of those 20 inmates about to be released from prison speaks out. Recently, a North Carolina Supreme Court decision upheld a lower court decision of an old North Carolina 1974 law that says life in prison is only 80 years. The 9-year-old, now in her 40s, says she wants something done to stop these criminals from seeing the light of day. On Thursday, October 29th, about 20 inmates. The family of a shooting victim in the East tells WITN that they will more than likely take their son off life support Sunday. Robert Jones, father of the victim, Brandon Jones, says they are still hoping for a miracle. Police say Jones, along with 2 others, went to Sharpsburg looking to settle a dispute which ended with Jones getting shot. His father speaks only to WITN.
I don't know whether you meant to do all the harm that you did or...
This is Robert Jones making a plea to whoever the person is.
As early as 11 or 12 years old. And as that debate continues, one Beaufort County teen says that's an issue that's under the bridge and now is dealing with being 15 and a mom.
It's 6:30 in the morning and 15-year-old Andrea Wilson has quickly learned that being a mom, no matter how old, requires something universal. It's called patience. Her 8-month-old son is named Arhelio, and he was born 27 weeks premature. She uses this breathing apparatus with her son twice a day. She says Arhelio's lungs are getting congested.
Yeah, she's had it hard. He had surgery the day he turned 4 months for a blockage in his small intestines. So.
After Andrea gets his meds out of the way, she knows a good old bottle of milk does the body good. It also gives her ears and nerves a rest.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That is very good news with the swollen rivers and creeks out there.
We're going to leave you with live pictures of the French Quarter, New Orleans, as they are celebrating the Saints' first-time Super Bowl champions. We'll see you back here next week.